We are sponsored by Soho Bistro and Lounge.
Hello, everyone, and happy Sunday. So excited to be back for another episode of The Empowered Path. Sorry for the missed episode last week, but I needed some rest. The studio expansion is in full effect, and I just am honoring that in myself lately. But today, I'm so excited to have Megan here from Meadow Healing Arts. She is a massage therapist and a combo practitioner, which I am so excited to get all the beautiful information about this magic medicine ally of combo. And so, as we know, the podcast is about turning our pain into purpose. So we never, find our way down this path without nothing. And I do believe that the majority of humans, probably I'd say all, have a story of pain. And I've just been so blessed along my path to meet such incredible humans that have really taken their pain and turned it into just a divine passion for purpose and helping other people find their purpose and to find healing and to bring the message of healing. So Megan's we never know, right? We never know where these things are going to take us.
We never know.
But she's going to tell us a little bit about, what brought her to this path, and then we'll just take it from there.
Hi, everyone. This is a little bit of an edge being live on Facebook. So hello. And then first and foremost, Amy, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you for all the work that you do. What a loaded question. So I feel like life is like, it comes in chapters, right? So if we start with, the empowered path in general, like what brought me into transforming my pain into purpose is kind of my path in recovery. And, I grew up an only child with a mother who was handicapped. And I feel like at a very young age, I was dealing with so many big emotions that I just did not know how to handle. And whether that was just anger or feeling too deeply, whatever the case may be, as I started to get older, trying to understand those emotions brought me into drug addiction, putting myself in situations that just weren't healthy for me over and over and over again. And I sit here today with 7 years of sobriety. That took me down also a path that was just completely tumultuous. I was an IV heroin addict. I was addicted to meth, the whole nine. And even talking about that now, it's like that part of me is just not who I am anymore.
I always say that too. It's like sometimes when I'm telling those stories, when I get caught in that space or just reflecting, right? And it's like, how was that human being the same human being that is here? It's wild sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like cringe. You're like, I can't even tell these stories anymore, but yeah, at the end, pretty much what kind of transformed my decision of like, okay, I need to change my life. I was living in Houston, Texas, and I was selling drugs, working for the cartel, and I finally got to a point where I had got arrested and I ended up doing prison time for 10 months. And, here I am in Houston, Texas. And I just want to give thanks to my family too, because like when I was in that situation and when I was sitting in a prison cell around all of these actually beautiful people, talented people, I was like, I knew that my family values and morals were deeply rooted in myself. And that's what gave me my self-worth to know that like I didn't have to live this way. And the most beautiful part too, I think about that whole situation is like, here I am in a prison cell, but I felt free. I felt completely and totally free because I was around women and I was finally like laughing again. I was writing. I was like, I finally had that space and time to clear my head, to get sober, not willingly, but it gave me that space and time to clear my head and get some time away from the people that I was around, the whole nine. And then I was in contact with my family again. So that in itself was a gift, even though I didn't necessarily see it that way at the time. So,
Yeah. Sometimes it is. Sometimes those moments of clarity. And I've never done any serious jail time, but I've done like a week here or like a weekend here. And it's always so funny. I say it too, of how powerful the mind is that the detox always seemed so much less when
Yeah.
you were in jail, because you were like, knew you couldn't get it. And you're just like, right? Because when you're like home and
it's full surrender.
yeah, you can't, right? You're just
Exactly.
like, no, so it's not as bad. So it really shows you kind of the power of the mind when you're going through that.
So true. It's so true. Yeah, because when you're like left to your own devices and to like have the options
Right.
to do whatever you need to, it kind of plays tricks on you. So yeah, that space and time really just kind of contained. And I had to go to work. I had to do the whole thing while I was in there. And I definitely, that was truly a gift. And from there, I moved back home because I was in Houston. I was not around any of my family. And I told my lawyer, I was like, listen, if I don't get home, because I'm just going to say this too, like the Texas prison system is not good. The whole construct around the prison systems is not good, especially when it comes to drug addiction and, like really trying to give people the option to change their life. There's some states that just don't have the resources, and Texas is one of them. So
I feel like a lot of jails don't have the proper
and
approach.
like how when I was out there, I was in prison with women who had just got caught with just like a little bit, and it's a felony out there. It's like here it would have been a misdemeanor, and they probably would have been able to get to a program and kind of reintegrate themselves a little bit easier. But out there, it's like it was just the wild, wild west, So, but I moved back home, and I just remember telling my lawyer, I was like, I need to get back home, because they kept trying to put me on probation and everything. And I knew that there were programs out here that were going to be more beneficial for, my recovery. And when I got back here, I remember the day that I walked into detox, I knew that I was never going to pick up drugs again. And that was true for me. Thank God. And, throughout that time, and even just to bring in like the spiritual piece too, when I was in Texas and when I was in jail, I met this woman. She was 21 and she was doing 10 years at the age of 21 because of her boyfriend and all of that. And she would have Bible study every day. And I looked to her and I was like, you're 21 years old. You're about to do 10 years. And her faith was just so strong. And I looked at that and I was like, okay, there has to be something to this. Like, I was never religious. I'm still not, but I feel like that was really my introduction into believing in something, like giving my will and my power over to something greater. And now I consider that like it's great spirit. It's just spirit that's moving through us at all times. So, having that experience while I was in Texas, and then when I was going into recovery and into sobriety, I was able to kind of like have that piece of it. So, yeah.
That's a huge piece.
Yeah,
You need to believe in something.
definitely.
You need to believe in something greater than yourself to guide you. And it almost, when I first got into the program, I hated God.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those people, like, you were not going to tell me that there was some greater being out there guiding all the just like the pain that I had suffered, like
Right.
as a child. And then like continue on, like, and then to witness like all the pain in the world.
Yeah.
But when you start to wake up and you start to kind of crawl out of that darkness
Yeah.
and you find the gifts in it all,
Yeah.
right? You find the purpose in it all. You find the purpose in the pain, and you realize, and today I sit here and say that, the pain that I went through as a child or a young adult. I'm so grateful.
Definitely. Definitely.
And that's God.
100%.
That spirit, whatever you want to call it, showing us that it's possible.
And I feel too, I say this a lot, especially, empaths, clairvoyant, most drug addicts and alcoholics that are turning to something that's going to numb their emotions and their feelings. It's usually because they're extremely sensitive to everything that's going on, whether it's the collective or whatever it may be. And when we get into recovery, we've just gone through all of this stuff. We're intelligent beings.
Mm-hmm.
We need an intelligent God.
Yes.
So you come into recovery and it's like, okay, I have to believe in God. And you're telling me that it can be anything. It can be a doorknob. It can be a light bulb. And that just did not cut it for me. Like I needed something with much more intelligence to it, because I had always known since I was a kid that intelligence was literally around us and with us at all times. I just didn't have the framework to piece it together or to give it some sort of name or whatever the case may be. And I was also one of those people, when I was like 7, I like slept over at my friend's house and I went to church with them in the morning, and I had a priest tell me I was going to hell. It's like, so when it comes to like the dogma of Christianity and all of that, it's like, it's not necessarily meant to be put in boxes like we think that it's supposed to be. So yeah, having more of an intelligent God, to me, when I came into recovery, I was like, no, there's way more to this than just like, it's nameless, it's formless, it's all of that. And
it's everything.
yeah, and it's a permanent state of unconditional love. And I feel like once I got to the point where I came into recovery, and then 3 months into my recovery, my boyfriend of 2 years had died of an overdose. And I feel like that really kind of snapped me into something. Like, I had to believe that he was going to carry on in some sort of way. So the way of God that I needed to believe in was just something that was continuously holding us, continuously caring for us. And you're trying to integrate yourself back into life. And like, I had to get a job again and everything. And I just remember being told that I needed to pray and all of this. And I was like, well, okay, let me try this. But at the same time, it was almost like I was being like a hype woman for myself. Like, I would look at myself in the mirror and just be like, okay, like, you're going to do this, whatever this is, like, just please help me. That's all, like, thank you. And please help me. Thank you. And please help me. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm not only praying for whatever this intelligence is to hear me, but for me to hear me, like a mantra. Like, I needed to empower myself again to know that I could keep stepping forward in my life and everything was going to be okay. And
It's so funny that you say that. That just like brought back because I hated God, but I was like so broken. I was so done. And like these people were like telling me, right? And I was seeing it, right? Because you're seeing the miracles happen in these meetings, right? For the first time in your life. I would like throw myself on the floor and I'd be like, they told me to just like ask you for help. So I'm like, Karen, I'm just going to ask you for help. So can you just help me? Just like, I just really need some help. And then I'd like jump up. Like it was like some boogeyman that I just like didn't know. Cause then it's like the fear, right? Cause it's like fear, like, oh, like if you don't do it this way or this thing, like you're going to die. And if you don't like stay here. So then you're like, also you're like already afraid of yourself.
Right.
Right. Like I was so afraid of like the decisions I was making because they ended me homeless and, with a needle in my arm. And so I was like, I believed, right, in something for a moment until things really started. Like I started doing that. And then it kind of like I built that intimate relationship with whatever it was that, that I was talking to at the time. And I mean, I know more deeply now. I know what it is. But
right.
it's so funny. Yeah, I would literally just like throw myself down, be like, I don't know who I'm talking to or what I'm doing, and this seems crazy, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, we've been living a life where it's like everything is instant gratification. Like anything I wanted, I would get it, no matter the cost. And it's like if I felt a certain way, I would change that, and like I would get that instant gratification in my drug use. And then you come into sobriety, and it's like, what do you mean I have to wait for things to get better? Like, and it's a serious test in patience, and of course we need some sort of help from that intelligence that's around us. Like it makes perfect sense now, and it's like even when I worked in recovery, I was like trying to just frame it for people, so it could click a little bit better. And when it comes to like even just energetics and like being connected to your body, like we're never taught any of that when we're in school. So, in my recovery, luckily, my sponsor at the time was a yoga instructor. And, I started going to yoga all the time. And here I am, like, I am riddled with grief, riddled with just trauma. And I would go to yoga and I'd be in Shavasana and I'd be crying my eyes out. And I was like, I don't understand why this is happening. Like, why? Like, is there something wrong with me? Why am I so emotional? Blah, blah, blah. And, and then I was having these crazy dreams, and there was something inside of me that was like, I just need to start writing this down. And slowly but surely, I feel like there's also stages with like, what you learn when you cross over into recovery, into spirituality, even though it's like the same thing. It really is, but it is a little bit different in ways when it comes to, I started meditating, and then it's like, then I really did want to start diving into what, like different religions, like what is this? Like why? So I would read the Kabbalah, and, I got into all like the Vedic texts and everything, and learning about all like the Vedic deities and what their meaning is. And in reality, it's like, it's all the same thing. It's all the same incarnation of the goddess and all of that. And I felt it was almost overwhelming because we're all beings that have like these innate intuitive superpowers, right? But sometimes there's just not a place for that in this world, like if you have oracular visions or these crazy dreams when you're a kid, or if you say you're seeing ghosts, you're crazy, right? So,
or it's scary.
Yeah. Or you're like scared of it. So you lay it dormant and you put it aside because there's not a place for it here, and I feel like once we start waking up to those gifts that we truly do have, it can be extremely overwhelming because it's like there's so many different paths you can take, right? So I just started.
And it's the path less traveled.
Yes.
So there's not as much guidance out there for people when they're waking up, and then they feel crazy, and then they go to their doctor and they're explaining it, and the doctor's handing them some kind of prescription to make them feel,
Yeah, don't feel anything.
Yeah, just feel like this, just one feeling, and then it just lays dormant, and then you can't share your gift, and then you're out doing some job, and you're never gonna feel fulfilled,
right?
Because you're doing something you aren't supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and we live in a society that just is tailor made for us to be just machines, and we're disconnected from our bodies, and we're feeling overwhelming amounts of stress and
not feeling our emotions because nobody taught us how to actually embody our emotions, and we've put labels on our emotions that some are good and some are bad, and
then it all just manifests in the body, and
that's why you're crying in Shavasana.
And that's why you're crying in Shavasana for sure. So I just kind of just kept going forward, and I kept getting these little hits, like the coincidences. And I just knew that whatever I was doing, no matter how painful or no matter what was unraveling, I knew that something was happening because I was just getting those hits, whether it's like your spirit guides talking through you, ancestors, whatever you want to call it. It's truly your spirit is moving through you now in a way that's not stagnant, and it allows you to move smoother in your life. So I just kept going on the path, and something within that I think it was like a year in, I just knew, I didn't even know what ayahuasca was at the time. And I was like, I just know that I'm going to do this. I don't know when. I know it'll just fall in my lap, all of this. And the way that it all unfolded for me, I'm really glad it did. Like, I didn't do any plant medicine until about 2 years sober and it just kind of ended up that way, right? But I'm glad it did because I actually needed to, like, going through the steps and building a relationship with myself first. There was no way I was going to be able to have a healthy relationship with a plant spirit, never mind anything else, if I didn't have that relationship with myself. So, waiting that time, going through the steps, and just like really building my life back. Like, I had to get my license back. I didn't have a social security card, birth certificate, like literally building from the ground up. And, you know, just watching those milestones kind of happen, getting my license, saving up the money to get a car, and like all of those things. And then finally it just got to a point where, you know, I was like, I need to go deeper. Like there is just, I need to go deeper. I need to. And I knew that the opportunity would just end up kind of falling in my lap. And it did. And I said yes. And it kind of took me on this crazy, wild ride that did take me deeper, for sure. In some of the craziest ways. But yeah, that truly opened me up in a way that, you know, you go through your recovery and you're dealing with grief and trauma from actual experiences that you know, dealt with in your life. And then you come into plant medicine and it starts to like clear that in a way that can open you up to the collective energy. And it can open you up to your ancestral traumas and your ancestral grief and all of that. And yeah, it's a complete and total rabbit hole. It's a total rabbit hole.
I say too, and just because I work in treatment, and you know, I do a lot of this work with people, and you know, I was 9 years sober before I jumped down the plant medicine path, and I don't believe that plant medicine is for everyone.
Right.
I do believe that a lengthy amount, like 2 years, you know what I mean, time, because we really have to ask ourselves, right? We really have to ask ourselves, am I trying to seek the answers outside of myself? And how often am I trying to go outside of myself for the answers? Because what I've learned, even in plant medicines, is the answers are inside. And it's things that we're unwilling to see in ourselves that are holding us back. And the medicine is just like this big shiny mirror,
Right.
you know, of your shit. And Justin and I talked about it because on here about how if you're really unhappy in your life or unhappy in your job or unhappy in your relationship or unhappy in your marriage, whatever it is, that if you go and do a plant medicine journey, the likelihood is that it's going to make it worse.
Definitely.
So it ends it.
Yes.
It's going to do for you what you can't do for yourself. And you have to be really prepared for that.
Yeah. And that's where like integration is so important. Because
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, okay, you're going to come to this experience and it is going to shift your whole trajectory in life. And you have to be ready for kind of everything to fall apart because you're literally getting yourself to a different vibration and a different frequency. And that means like things are going to fall away. Like whether it's friendships, whether it's your lifestyle, it's abusive mind patterns, the whole thing. It's like everything starts to shake off in a different way. And being prepared for that is definitely something that needs to happen.
Yes. So you did your first journey at 2 years.
Yes.
Is that what you said? Yeah. Did you go out to Peru, or was it?
It was around, actually, like it was around 3 years. And I actually did it in Maine. It was in the States.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll just say this too, like, unfortunately, I have had a lot of run-ins with what you would consider malpractice in the plant medicine world. So unfortunately, that did happen to me multiple times where because that's just another truth in all of this is like integrity and like how people carry medicine and how people hold this. And, it's an indigenous medicine. And when I did first, experience this, it's such an intriguing, all of it is, whether it's kambo, bufo, ayahuasca, all of it is very just like intriguing in a way, because I mean, the word psychedelic in itself literally means mind manifest. So it's, you come into these experiences and you're literally, like you were saying, you're holding up this like shiny mirror, but like, where's the origin? I've always been somebody who's like just dug into things like that. And I knew from that moment on, I was like, I need to go to like the source of where this all is. Because when it comes to ayahuasca in itself, it's two plants, it's Capi and Chacruna, but the amount of species and plants that are in the Amazon jungle is like so vast. I think it's more than 500,000. Don't quote me on that, but just like a broad spectrum of how many different species of plants there are out there. And you're able to combine these two plants, right? And create this literal contact with spirit, because when you look at it in a lens of like, I'll just speak upon animism, right? Like that's just pretty much saying that everything is alive. Anything can be animated in a way. And it's intriguing again for me to think about how if you were to look, if we just literally right here had a Capi vine and a Chacruna plant, like we get to bring that to life by cooking it down, by combining it, and then by bringing it into our being, we get to create that and animate it in a way to bring it to life, right? So, when I went down to Peru, I'll just in a broad way too, I think the whole point of experiencing any of this, right? Any of it is to just truly live. Like, how can I truly live my life in a way where I can animate love? Like, how can I take all of the teachings that I have been truly gifted from the spirit of plants or the spirit of amphibians or fungi, any when you look at it in that lens of everything is a spirit, everything can be animated and everything has something to say, like how can I truly embody that? How can I embody love and everything that I have brought into my spirit? How can I project that out and truly live and truly bring it into this world?
So beautiful. And that's the empowered path, right? It's like, how do I use these things that have happened in my life to flip the script, right? To choose differently for myself compared to all the people that are out there living in hate, living in judge, living in comparison and envy and jealousy and these low vibration energies, always wanting something different than what they have or looking a certain way than how that, and it's just like, how do we come back to the truth,
right?
To the truth of it all,
right?
That is love
and
connection.
And that's God.
Yeah, great spirit.
Yeah.
And what lives, and when you do these plant medicines, that is what you see.
Yeah,
you see it all.
Yes.
Painful. It's not pretty.
Scary.
It's not pretty out there. So you went to Peru.
And honestly, it would like, it's honestly, when you ingest this medicine, you have to respect it. You just have to. The moment that I crossed that threshold, I was like, I have the it'll bring you to your knees. I have the utmost respect for this. And, when I went to Peru and hearing the Icaros and hearing the prayers and hearing the origin of all of it, because I work with a curandero, Jose Rios, and he is the nephew of Pablo Amaringo, who is like a world-renowned like ayahuasca painter, and just being immersed not only in the jungle, but then going into dieta work. Like again, we speak of like spirit. Like everything to me is a spirit. You know, coffee is a spirit. If I don't keep that in moderation, it's gonna, you know, kind of take over and put that into my being and whatever. But when you go into dieta work, it's like you're ingesting a plant that is a spirit, that has a spirit, that is an ally for you. And, you know, you're cleaning your whole body, your whole being, everything, because you're eating fruits, vegetables, no salt. It's a very strict diet. So there's no room for any other, there's no infiltration from anything else. It's just you, the plant, and you're just cleansing your whole body.
I think that was the hardest part of my journey when I did it, was that like it was a month before. It was like no salt, no processed foods. It was like, it was protein, and it had to be like, you know, farm raised, because, you know, you really want to make sure what you know.
Yeah, ingredients.
And I know from, you know, communicating with people that if you don't do that, she's harder on you. That like you have to really come into that space, like really clean, really clear, and ready for her to, you know, to do that, to cleanse you.
Yeah. And especially in the US, it's like there's so much stuff that we're battling too. So yeah, just to cleanse the body, and in like an energetic regard, it's like when the mind, the body, and the spirit are all kind of working together, you're able to like just allow everything to move better. Like there's not that stagnancy that's going on. And the transformation that you see within that, it's like there is so much power in herbal and holistic medicine. The power of the plants, you know, it's like this has been known for so long, and it's just been lost, you know?
I saw this thing, my friend, she shared it. She's like, it's not alternative medicine. Like, plant isn't alternative. It's the original.
It's the original.
It's the original
OG
medicine.
Yeah.
You know, like they didn't always have pharmacies and hospitals, right? It was just like the original medicine.
And they're not trying to make money off us. You
No.
know, like big pharma is just, we're just a paycheck at this point, you know? So, but yeah, just going into the dieta work, and
Is that when you were out in Peru, was that the first time you did combo?
no. So I did combo. I actually did combo. No, I didn't do combo before ayahuasca. So I did combo about 4 years ago.
Okay.
It was like I did my first ayahuasca ceremony, and then I did combo right after. And that medicine is actually like, especially for somebody who's coming out of recovery and like kind of getting that hit to like do something different. Combo is a beautiful introduction to that, because it's not psychoactive, and it's a good detoxifying, cleansing medicine. It's not a fuck around and find out medicine, you know?
No.
So yeah, that medicine was a beautiful introduction for me when it came to, you know, going down that path. And I will forever be a student of combo. I will forever be a student of combo. That medicine just amazes me more and more and more, and it will continue to.
Let's share all the beautiful information. For those of you that don't know, we actually are heading out of here from this podcast to go have a combo ceremony at the studio. Megan holds them monthly at Sacred Moon. And it has been an incredible gift for me. I also love this medicine. So you did your first journey, or it's not really a journey. I mean, I guess it is a journey.
In a way, yeah.
It's a journey. It's a very intense, beautiful journey, but let's start. So you did that, and then you did your first one? And after you did your first journey, were you like, yep, this is it? Like, I know this is the path for me. This is my thing. I want to do this.
Yeah, like, well, when it comes to like serving combo, when I first did combo, I did not have that. Honestly, it was extremely scary for me to come into a place of serving, like, because it felt like such a big deal. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, you know? And I really just wanted to make sure that like it was something that I was capable of doing and that I was going to be like able to do, you know, because it's a big deal. And at least it was for me. But when I first did combo, like I feel like everybody, well, not everybody, but when I speak about combo, it's like, wait a minute, people are purging, they're puking, you know, it's like this like big thing sometimes for people. But for me, it was so like raw and like, again, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to like get this out of my body. I didn't even have to know what I was getting rid of. I was just glad to have that come out. And so combo was just always a constant. Like no matter what, it's like I could go on this path or whatever, but it's like I would always come back to combo. You know, that was like the constant. And
Let's talk about what combo is, because I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of people that are like, what are they even
Yeah.
talking about?
Right, true. So combo is a secretion. Well, they gave it the name. It is considered a frog and an Amazonian frog, but it's what you would call the secretion from the frog. Now, the secretion is filled with bioactive peptides that are put onto the skin topically through surface layer burns. And it's not like a huge burn. It's literally just like a surface layer burn. It's nothing. And
It feels like a lighter burn.
right.
Like if you like hit like a lighter.
Right.
Like it's not bad.
And then you wipe off that first layer of skin and that's how the peptides get into your body. Now, they're doing a ton of research right now on combo, but there's also that beautiful mystery about it, right? Which I love. But there's this woman, Caitlin Thompson, who's doing a lot of like scientific research. I don't know if we can like link her page or whatever.
No.
She has a whole website that talks about like cancer research, the effects it has on the lymphatic system, the whole nine. And pretty much in a generalized way, the best way I can explain it is so the peptides, they first go into your lymphatic system. And it's also a vasodilator. So when you get that first dot of combo in your body, your heart rate's going to increase and your blood pressure is going to drop, but you're going to get that flush, like if you like almost like a niacin flush. So your skin starts to get red, and it's literally pumping your whole circulatory system, your lymphatic system. It's recalibrating every system in your body. You know, reproductive, digestive, all of it. And it was interesting, like going through massage therapy school, I had to do intense anatomy classes like the whole time. And it was actually extremely helpful to have the combo knowledge while also really going in depth with, you know, all the systems in the body, like your heart, your liver, your kidneys, everything. And I think the most, and this is just my personal opinion, I think the most important piece to what combo does is what it does on the lymphatic system. Because most cancer will form in the lymph nodes. And it's really, again, we talk about like stagnancy and like getting everything moving, right? When it comes to your lymphatic system, the lymph actually moves extremely slow, right? Like when you go for like lymphatic drainage or whatever, you actually have to move it very slowly because it's just the way that it is. It's almost like if we had a cup of water right here and I were to slowly put my finger towards the water, at some point the water is going to reach up and touch your finger, right? And that's what your lymph does. So if you put your hand on the body and just slowly move it, that's going to pump your lymph. Now, when it comes to your lymph nodes, like you would look at it like a circle, right? And then it has, and I'm just saying this in like the best way that I can describe it because it's super complex. But when it comes to your lymph nodes, there's these like little pockets that your lymph nodes have. Now, if your lymph is not filtering through your lymphatic system, all of your dead and damaged cells are going to get caught in those walls. And that's where cancer can form. That's where any illness, all disease can form. So your lymphatic system is pretty much like your immune system. So not only is Kambo going to literally move that lymph faster than normal, and then also get your circulatory system moving, it's literally recalibrating everything and getting rid of all of, we'll just say toxins, whatever it is. And
it feels like that. It's so uncomfortable. It's like it's like one of those things where it's like, it's going to hurt so good.
Yeah.
Right? It's like all of a sudden, I remember doing it the last time when I did it in my leg. It was like, I could feel it. Like I could feel the medicine just like come like up my legs, like slowly, like you said, like slowly moving its way. And then it comes to your stomach and it's just like, and that like even though it's so painful that it's doing what it's supposed to, because then you're puking up black and yellow and like just this, and your stomach is empty because you're not eating before, and you're just drinking a ton of water, which I think is the hardest part, but water.
So and like once it gets in your system, it's like, I love to keep it at that like mystery, right? Because it's not only cleansing your physical body, but even just your auric body, your energetic body, like what we were talking about, like how the mind can manifest in the body into illness and disease and all of those things. It's like our mind is so powerful. And, when we are experiencing anxiety or depression or whatever you want to call it, right? Kambo is extremely good for just clearing out and cleansing the whole being, because it's purging out what doesn't serve anymore. And it can clear that brain fog and just kind of reset you on the path. Like even like I try to do Kambo monthly, if not more than that, for myself. When I was in massage school, that wasn't as easy because you're literally just like getting massaged all the time. I'm not complaining, but yeah, and it can be an edge, like especially when you're speaking about what you're doing. It's like, oh, I have these burns on my skin, and I put, people want to call it poison. I don't consider it poison. It's frog secretion on the body, and I purged, and it can be almost hard to talk about because it can be an edge for a lot of people, but you're right too. It's like you're purging out, and it can be green and orange. And I have seen black. I myself have purged black, and you're like, thank God that's coming out of my body. Thank God. And
it's like the heavy metals from like that kind of stuff, right? That it's proven to like take out like the toxins from like the vaccines, like all of that stuff. Yeah.
All of it. And it's like a really, really, really potent antiviral and antimicrobial. So even for me on my personal journey, like I had HPV for probably 9 years, probably 9 years. And just recently, it was after my second training, because I had a strain of HPV where I had like almost like sunspots. It was like these benign, they looked like freckles, right? But they were on my bikini line. They didn't bother me. They weren't raised or anything like that. But like I got to a point where I was like, what is this? I thought I had skin cancer. And I would go to the gynecologist, OBGYN, and there was like, it's benign. It's not going to turn into cancer, but there's nothing you can do. Like, it's not going to go away. And I didn't like that answer. I never liked those answers. So I did my second Kambo training, and I was doing Kambo every day for 12 days. And by like the fourth day, I could feel these little like zaps underneath my skin. And jokingly, I was like, watch Kambo just completely take all of these away. Because at some point there was like, it almost looked like when you get a sunburn and you have like a cluster of like freckles, sunspots. So jokingly, I was like, watch Kambo just completely take these away. And it wasn't until I got home and then like a month later, I was like it took them all away. Like I went to the bathroom one day and I was like, are you kidding me? And it just makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
Human papilloma virus, it's a virus. So there's a viral load that is happening underneath your skin that is just like, it can't go anywhere. There's nothing that can kill it, right? And now a potent bioactive peptide that gets underneath your skin, like it just makes sense. It's literally killing the virus from underneath. So
An ally.
yeah, beautiful ally.
Beautiful ally. So many beautiful allies. And my favorite story of all the stories is how it was found. Segue into ayahuasca.
Yes.
Right? You want to tell that story? Because I love
So
this story.
it's like a legend.
Because it's like how, right? Like how the
Right,
hell
it's
are
so
you burning?
specific.
Like,
And like, not even to just get into like all the details of tribe and everything like that, but it pretty much is like, they call it the vaccine of the forest, right? And there was a tribe that was extremely sick, and one of the tribe leaders didn't know what to do. And he just went out, and a spirit came to him with a frog. It was a female spirit. They say he was on ayahuasca. There's like different versions. I've heard so many different ones. And pretty much a spirit came to him that was a female and showed him the frog and was just kind of gave him instructions on how to go about using this frog in a way to help his tribe. And yeah. And again, it's very specific. Like, big thanks to all of the tribes for the trial and error for going about using this medicine. And yeah, when I heard that, to me, I was like, again, spirit.
and cured his village.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like everything is a spirit. And like, and tribes like that are so connected in that way because they're immersed in it. They're immersed in the jungle. They're immersed in all of those plant spirits. They know every single, like, what plant can do this for you and what this is for and all of that. Their knowledge is just so vast because they're so connected. But yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And even the fact of with ayahuasca, right? You said there's, thousands of, species of plants in the jungle, but these two, like how, right? It's like those things. It's the same thing with bufo. It's like, it's like, how did they know to get this toad and the secretion of it and dry it in the sun to like smoke it, to like meet God? It's like, these gifts are out there for us as humans to see. My favorite quote, right, is that we are not humans having a spiritual experience. Like, we are spiritual beings getting the gift to experience the human experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, this is what I say so often, are so focused on our human experience, and the human experience being the material, right? The things and, what we can touch and see and forget so much about our spiritual experience, our spirit. And these medicines, these gifts, these animal allies, these plant allies teach us about our spiritual experience.
Definitely.
Really. And I say for us to have a divine human experience is when we, are more focused on the spiritual side of it.
Right.
And I'm a full advocate of the human experience. Like, give me this this experience, right? Like, I want to experience it all. I want to experience all the pleasures. I want to dress my avatar how I want to and tattoo it. And I want to eat, foods that aren't always great for me. And like, live this life and to enjoy it.
Yes.
But also know that it's not it.
Yes. And it's knowing that your soul is just ancient.
Ancient.
Totally ancient. And within that too, it's like I've definitely gotten to the point where, you know, you realize that your soul is ancient and you're like, how many times have I incarnated in this human material body? Like, am I ready to just not do this anymore?
I'm like, when am I ready to just be the bodhisattva, to just like come down and then like be in this enlightened space and just share just the enlightenment and not have to go through all the pain? I'm like, how many times have I done this painful ass fucking journey? 'Cause like,
But then it's like, would I be bored? I think of that. I'm like, do I want to come back? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I have a choice, but yeah, whatever happens, happens.
yeah. And then just deeply knowing that, right, when things get really challenging, like I've been saying it, like I'm currently in one of the most challenging transitional points in my life where life is so fucking beautiful. Like my partner, my children, my business, like all of these, my friendships. And, you know, this year was a lot of, you know, losing, right? You do enough plant medicine, you grow enough. And like these people that you think, you know, and like things just have to like fall away to like open up. And we grow through all of that. But there's just like this one thing. Always. Right? It's like you just like can never reach that like full like this one thing where I'm like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But some events have happened more recently where, you know, I'm fighting it. I'm choosing to fight it. So everything, and I preach this, like everything we're choosing, right?
Yes.
Radical responsibility is probably one of the hardest parts of spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Right. And I take it to a whole nother level. Like even when I know I don't do anything wrong, I'm still constantly trying to like find my part in it. Right. Where I'm like, I know I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Here.
It's like
I just,
ingrained.
like, right. Like I'm like, where is it? I just want to see it. I want to find my part in it. Right. And sometimes my part is just that I'm choosing to fight.
Yeah.
I'm
Oof.
choosing to not let go of it. Right. And choosing to not trust the Great Spirit. Right. I trust the Great Spirit in all these other things in my life.
Yes.
But I think when it has to do, for me, right, when it has to do with my child, right, it's really hard.
Yeah.
To
It's mama,
just-
because it's that dark feminine mama Kali energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's knowing that balance, knowing when to fight, you know, because like anger, alchemized,
Yeah.
that's art, you know, and life can be a form of art through every single emotion that we experience. And that's alchemy. Like you're just being and it's like, okay, when you get to that point, it's like when something comes towards you, you're like, okay, like this is just meant to happen for my growth, for other people's growth, whatever the case may be. And it's like, how can I alchemize this into something beautiful? How can I change this into something beautiful, no matter how painful it is, you know, and it feels like a storm and you're just like in the center of it and just chaos can erupt, you know, but we were born from chaos, right?
The
Absolute
most chaos. Yes. And that like Kali, like, oh man, that energy in there. It's like, it's so hard sometimes to sit on it.
Yeah.
Right. To sit in it and like know that like this is all happening. But I was with Aspen the other day. We were having our meeting and I was crying. Like there was just tears running down my cheek. And I'm like, the fight is over.
Yeah.
The fight is over when like I say it's over.
Yeah.
And like, even though they're fighting on the other party, right? There's this other party that's still fighting and like trying to prove this, like, and it's this, right? It's, you know, I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm prescribed marijuana. So it's like, this is like this old paradigm, right? This old paradigm of, you know, what 12-step, like you drink, you die, like, you know, and it's fear.
Yeah.
This
It's like all
person
the constructs.
This person is just deeply afraid.
Yes.
and they're just running out. You know, my son's going to be a drug addict because, you know, I smoke weed now. And like, you know, this is the story that they're creating, right? And that like, I'm a bad person now because I choose to do plant medicines to heal, right? Like it's your intention, right? Like I had a traumatic brain injury in my PCP of 10 years that walked me through my entire sobriety, prescribed me marijuana for my migraines. You know, so
And that's
it's
a medicine
like
in itself too.
a plant medicine. Marijuana is a plant medicine.
Yeah.
And I was taking Imitrex, and I have gut issues. I had my gallbladder out. The Imitrex was hurting my gut. I couldn't take the ibuprofen. I couldn't take the medicines because I was a heroin addict and I destroyed my gut biome.
Right.
Right? Like most people that like do that amount of drugs for that amount of time. And you know, combos really helped me in healing that. And when I tell you that, like, when I drink a soda, like, I don't drink soda. Like, I love, like, a guilty pleasure of mine is, like, a couple sips of a Coke from, like, a fountain soda, right? But, like, you taste it now and you can, like, taste the poison.
Yeah.
You're, like, eat processed foods and you, like, the combo ally in me is, like, this isn't good for you.
Yeah, you're refining your palate in every way.
Like it doesn't feel good anymore to put those kinds of things in my body. And that is been the greatest gift of combo too. And like in these plant medicines is this like ally and awareness in having this education and doing it in a way that's like, you know, I did ayahuasca one time and like I'm like, I need to integrate this for a year. Like I'm not out like chasing these things. I'm not like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like it was such deep healing work that like I'm still integrating that experience.
Yeah.
Still. And luckily I have all these beautiful people in my life to continue to help me see. I'm not trying to escape my reality when I do anything, right? Like I am still a woman in recovery. You know, I was a crystal meth, heroin, like anything that I could do to just not feel my existence.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
And today I embody and embrace my existence in the most messy, chaotic.
Because you're not trying to numb anything
No.
anymore. It's like you're fully alive and fully willing to experience and feel everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Fully.
And it trickles down your bloodline.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's the piece too, where it's like you come into a space where it's like, I'm not even doing this for myself anymore.
No.
You know?
I am doing it for my children, and my children will absolutely not. They will have so much education and so much love and know how to feel their emotions.
Right.
Right? Because that's it. I never knew how to feel. Everything was so uncomfortable for me. Even feeling happiness was uncomfortable for me.
Right.
Because I didn't think I deserved
What
it.
is this?
Whoa.
Peace and happiness?
Weird.
What?
Sometimes when I'm like sitting on my couch and I just like love my little apartment and I just like love my life so much and I'm just like,
When's the shoe gonna drop? No.
right. Yeah, that sometimes falls in too. But, you know, when I used to drink a drug or, you know, take a drug or drink,
too, no.
right? Yeah, like whatever. It was that feeling of ease and comfort that I desired, right? It was that, right? That's what we do, right? And people still do that, right? You have a glass of wine, you know, you're like, you know, it's that you're getting that. Like I am able to experience that ease and comfort in my life whenever I choose to experience it.
Yes. And if you think about it too, it's like when we were using drugs and alcohol, it's like we were literally seeking spirit.
Right.
Like we were seeking ease and comfort, and we just didn't know we could get that without it.
With a
you know?
breath.
Yeah, with a breath.
Breath is my spirit.
Yes.
Breath is my connection to spirit.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, even, you know, take all the plant medicine out of it. I say it to people all the time. Like, I'll encourage people to do breath work, to do these other spiritual practices first, because you really do need to have a deep, intimate, like you said, an intimate relationship with yourself to be able to have the relationship with the plant.
Right. And even just like clearing the vessel out a little bit energetically, you know, it's like, And I think that's where like the pendulum can swing in the other direction. It's like people are now using plant medicine and they're putting this narrative around it, like it can help in recovery, but when you put that narrative like quick fix,
Yeah.
like that is where it swings in the other direction. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like we need framework around whatever comes from this, you know? And in that, it's like, it's also surrender too. It's like the plants are smart. They know what they're doing at the same time. And it's like,
Intelligence.
they don't need us to save them. Right. And it's like, when you have trust in your own medicine and the medicines out there, it's like you just kind of have to like let it all unfold the way it needs to, you know?
Yeah. And we're the medicine. The answers are in you,
Yes.
right? DMT lies in you.
Yes.
Like it is in every living thing, right? And it's important, you know, if you're called to have those experiences, but you don't need them, and the answers aren't in the medicine.
Right.
The medicine shows you the answers that are already in you.
Yes.
It's not like, you know, and there is no quick fix. There
No.
is no, you're going to go to the jungle and you're going to do ayahuasca, or you're going to, you know, do these things and you're going to just like come back this like enlightened like being. Like, no, it's your willingness to do the work. It's your
Yeah,
willingness.
and it is hard. It is tough. You know, it's like you
Warrior.
said, it's not for everybody.
No.
You know?
And the work that you have to do on the other side of it is every day.
Yeah.
Every day you have to choose a new narrative for yourself. Every day I have to choose to not go back and fight this darkness,
Yeah.
right? To fight these things, because there's always going to be shit, right? There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. There's always going to be somebody that's talking shit. There's always going to be the, you know, I won't say the name, but you know what I mean? Those people that will try to convince me that I'm not good enough, that, you
Right.
know,
Yes.
whoever it is, there's always going to be people living in fear. And as long as people are living in fear, right? It's like that, even in, hey, I love this thing. And the boogeyman is waiting for you, like to take you out. Like your boogeyman of addiction is like waiting behind to doing push-ups.
Oh my God.
Doing push-ups out there waiting. And, like, you're weak.
Yes.
That's weak. That is a weak mindset. There is like,
Yes.
you're the only one that can take you out. I saw this thing. Joe actually shared it this morning about iron. Like the only thing that can kill iron is iron.
Yes.
Its own rust. Its
Yes.
own internal condition. Its own rust is the only thing that can hurt iron.
Yes.
It's how it manifests.
That's a beautiful metaphor. I love that.
Right? It's like you are the only one. And like the thought to think that I'm powerless, right? Like when people like about alcohol, right? And like I went out the other night. We went out after the Freaky Friday dance and everybody had a margarita and I ordered a beer because like I love a few sips of beer. It's like this weird thing.
I wish I could have went to that. Oh my God.
I ordered a Modelo,
So I'm taking my
right?
shoes off.
And I took 4 sips of it. Raging alcoholic, right? Raging alcoholic. And they're all laughing because everybody obviously knows all these accusations that are being made about me, right? And it's like they're all laughing about this. Like everyone's finished their margarita and I'm like the one. And we used to laugh at the people, right? In the meetings, right? Be like, oh, we go out to those people that leave like a half a glass of beer on the table.
Yes.
That's me.
That was you.
That's me now.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I'm not powerless.
Yeah, because you don't need to overdo it. Like you're
No.
not trying to completely numb yourself because
No.
of this. It's like, again, you're fully living your life and able to just like have these experiences.
I
you
get
know,
to live the full human experience
Yes.
that we meant
without any restrictions or constructs.
or
you know?
judgments,
Yes.
right? Judgments. People are like, ooh, like you put that spirit, because alcohol is a spirit.
Yeah, they call it spirits.
Yes. Like, and we get to choose how it allows to manifest in our body,
Right.
right? Like I was having a great night. We all went out and ate Mexican food. Like everyone had a margarita. Like everyone just had
Yes.
one. Like this
I love
is-
having a glass of red here and there
it's,
or a margarita.
and I'm still in recovery.
Yes.
Like I'm not shooting heroin. I'm not smoking crystal meth. Like I'm not smoking crack. I'm not like, you know, doing all the like it, and I've been doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. And then so funny because I like to quote like maybe I just wasn't a real alcoholic, right? The AA says, because like I could quote the big book, right? It's like if you were true alcoholic, go out and tried some controlled drinking for a year. And if you can't, right? Like, cool, I'm not actually an alcoholic then. Like, don't have to live by that title anymore.
Right.
Right.
And I just really loved heroin. So it's like,
Same. And it's like, and even I work in treatment centers. I work in 4 different treatment centers every week. Monday, I'm in 2. I every other Friday and Thursdays, like I'm still doing the same thing that I'm doing.
Right.
And I don't identify myself. I tell people like, I'm like, oh yeah, 14 years ago, like I was like homeless, like shooting heroin. And like today I'm not.
yeah.
Right. Like that's how I identify.
Yeah,
Right.
because I there got to a point too where it's almost hard to stand up at the podium and tell the same story over and over and over again. You're almost like connecting yourself to it so much that you can't like transform from it or transmute it. You stay stuck.
The identity of the alcoholic, the
Yeah.
identity of the addict, that you're just forever
Right.
this thing.
Right.
I didn't want to do that.
Same.
And if you want to do that and if you love that identity about yourself, I fucking love you. And like that is what you choose and that is amazing for you.
Yeah.
But for me, the fact that I had to wake up every day and think that I was powerless over something. And I do want to just say to everyone, like, I do not think that anybody should go out and try controlled drinking. If that is not in your path,
Right.
like, you know, if you have 9-10 years sober and you're like, by no means am I shaming anybody for like feeling, but for me and in my human and my spiritual journey,
Yeah.
none of that felt good anymore. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
Right.
That doesn't feel good.
And I think it's healthy. Like the steps completely saved my life. My women's group saved my life. And I think you just get to a point where it's like you just grow. You just keep growing and you grow out of it. And we do have the power to recover fully.
Yeah.
Fully recover.
Healed.
And yeah, we are healing. We are healed. Like it's
That part of me is healed. Right? There's a lot of other parts of me that are not healed and I'll be forever healing. But the part of my addiction piece in me is healed.
yeah.
Completely.
Same.
That doesn't exist. That reaction, that abnormal reaction to alcohol or to like, it doesn't
the
exist.
allergy.
And I just like to say we were doing drugs wrong.
Yes.
We were just doing drugs wrong
Yes.
like our entire lives,
Yes.
right? It's all about intention. It's all about intention and dose.
And community.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because even doing like Mambe.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mambe circles. Oh my God. And like what okay. Also too, it's like here you are, you have a yoga studio, which is that saved me in my recovery. Like having that piece of it. And to see like what you're doing now, like you're bringing in Hape circles, Mambe circles, combo, like bringing the community aspect to it. So even like with people in recovery, if they want to kind of dip their toe into that, it's like they have a community around them to support them.
And safe.
Yeah. And these are like medicines that have been used for so long.
Ever.
Yeah. And they're plants.
Plants.
You know, that's just it. They're just plants.
Yeah.
You know, I still have trouble. My mom, you know, family can be tough, right? It's like, again, we speak upon the edges, right? I call myself an edge walker. And it's like,
I call myself a disruptor, but
yeah, that too. Shake things up a bit.
it's fucking, but yeah, it's same. Like I'll say this, like, yeah, you're going to go burn frog
Yeah.
poison into your skin and go throw up and shit.
Like,
Like,
my mom will call it a drug.
yeah.
And I'm just like, no, it's not like,
Yeah.
it's literally just like the biological chemical makeup of what this earth can provide for us, you know? And
To heal.
there's a reason that it's here. And like, and I said to also like my grandfather, I was like, you know what? It's good that you don't understand because a lot of people that come to combo, it's like their last resort, like, cause the medical system has failed them, you know? And then I sit with people and I hear their stories and it's like the trauma that some people have gone through, you know? And
Medical.
it's like, and it-
Misdiagnosis.
yeah, or even just like, you know, if they're dealing with something in their life and they're just coming to combo to just really clear, you know, that the emotional piece and like the grief. And I sit with people in that and like, I'm almost glad sometimes when people can't understand because it's like, you don't need to come to this, you know?
Right.
You know, you're not at a point where like you don't know which way to go, you know? And yeah, so I say that a lot. It's like it's good sometimes if people don't understand. So
And I say that to people all the time. It's like, you have to trust yourself. Like, don't do it because I'm doing it. Don't do it because
Right.
she's doing it. Don't do it because the person on TV, right?
Right.
Like Mike Tyson talking about Bufo, like, right? Like what's the other football player that talks about ayahuasca? Aaron Hernandez, I think, right? There's like all these famous.
Aaron Hernandez is dead.
Oh, I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers.
Rogers, yeah.
Aaron Hernandez was the one from Attleboro that like killed those people. Yeah, the Patriots. Same thing. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know football. I'm not going to try to pretend. But there's all these people, there's these famous people that are now talking about these medicines, right? And so people are hearing these, you know, Joe Rogan and all these people are talking about it just because they're talking about it. Like, and you may be in these places. If there isn't, like, if it's not a full body, I always say, like, that full body, fuck yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just need that. Like, in our body is always communicating to us.
Always.
Right? Like goosebumps. When you like hear something and it resonates with you and your full body
You smell
gets-
something.
Yeah, and like triggers you're like a nostalgic feeling. Or when we cross our arms, right? When you're in front of somebody and you like cross your arms, like your body is protecting. What are you doing when you're crossing your arms? You're protecting your heart space.
Yeah.
It's like so when you're hearing something and you're like, get that like open heart feeling, right? That like full body goosebump. It's like that gut instinct, right? That gut feeling of like, this might actually work for me. That's when you'll start just diving deep. You'll start Googling things.
And most of the time, the medicine has already sought you out. You know, it's already sought you out in some way.
Then
And
you sign up for a journey and the medicine starts working before the medicine starts working.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yep. Yeah, and that gut instinct too. It's like making sure that is strong. I think the most beautiful part about all of this is like building your intuition, building that power center. So you know how to have discernment of like, this is a no, this is a yes, you know, building that intuition.
and I do feel like for me and my 12-step work did a lot of disempowering that for me. Like, you know, it was like, you can't trust yourself. You have a mental defect, right? You've got to run everything by a sponsor. You've got to, you know, go
Check in with everything.
right.
Yeah.
You know, and it really kind of disempowers that connection to your intuition. And I did need that, right? I say that like I got brainwashed by AA, but like my brain actually just like needed the washing at the beginning, right? Like I needed that. I think that now there's way more information out there and more things that like, I think that, you know, God, 14 years ago, it was kind of like even going to AA as a heroin addict was like taboo.
Yeah.
Like 14 years ago, right? You had to like really be mindful about like what you said and you couldn't really share like you had to identify as an alcoholic.
Right.
You know, for me, that's like what it was. Cause like I didn't want to go to the NA meetings because there was so much drugs and like people on, you know, like so. But I think that there's a lot more things that you can do now, like going and finding a yoga studio community or finding community spaces. And
Yeah, everything's
different-
definitely like morphing and changing.
yeah, that it not now there's like, you know, marijuana maintenance meetings and there's Dharma meetings and there's like all these other avenues that people can go that it doesn't just have to be this like one way.
Right.
Because you can, you know, go to rehab and then get out and find a like-minded community, find a yoga community, and I will say even in that, there's like, you really, finding a community is important, but it's really about building that ally in yourself.
Yeah.
Because in my experience, and I'm sure yours too, like those communities fall apart and people fall apart. And you end up like losing, right? Like people are always going to hurt you. There's always going to be this like growth. There's always going to be this like constant of change.
Right. And it's building that relationship with yourself. Like I remember when I first got sober, I would just like go out to lunch by myself just to like build that, you know. I didn't know that that's what I was doing at the time, but it's like being able to just not need anybody, not need a relationship, not like go into codependent patterns and always need to be like doing something. And it was just finding that peace within myself to just kind of empower myself to just do the thing again, to live a normal life, no matter how hard that seemed.
Yeah. And it seemed almost impossible.
Yeah. And now I don't live a normal life, and I'm so happy.
I live the most not normal life ever, and it's the best. I'm always so grateful.
Yes.
So grateful.
Yeah. And it's just beautiful to watch the unfolding. Like all the layers that can get peeled back from all of this, whatever path or avenue you take, like there are so many layers to the human soul, to your mind, to your heart. Like it's just a constant unfolding and just layer after layer. So then you're really just becoming the observer. Like how am I handling this situation different? You know, you come into a conversation and you're like, you start to notice different things and different patterns within yourself, whether it's like just saying no to something, like, no, I don't have to do that. I don't have the energy for that right now. Or like, yes, I'm going to do this thing that's like really scary and I'm going to do it. And it breeds courage, and it's literally just observing yourself. It's becoming the observer again. And the thought patterns, like what are the self-sabotage, abusive thought patterns that are just like hidden in there in my psyche, that no matter how much meditation I do, there's still an unfolding and layers where you get into the cracks and crevices and you're like, ooh, like where have I been lying to myself, you know? Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it's highlighting every single aspect, you know, and it's building resilience in the soul, right? Because I feel like when it comes to plant medicine, Bufo, whatever it is, you're building like a soul endurance. Like with your physical body, you can go to the gym, you can run 2 miles, it's going to suck. But I feel like the building of your resilience in on a soul level is the most beautifully painful,
so painful
unfolding that you can have, because again, we come back to like we're just ancient beings, you know, and there's so much information inside of us, whether it's ancestral or our DNA makeup is just filled with so much information at our disposal, and it's like, it's juicy.
Yeah. And we have the ability to tap into it when we're ready. Mm-hmm. And that's when we're like willing to go to those deep, dark parts of our soul. Yeah. Right. The
underworld.
The underworld.
I love it there. No.
I always like break down shadow work like the most easiest way that I know how, right? It's like, what do you like, you have those stories, right, that nobody knows, right? Nobody knows, right? You have these deep, dark things that you did or said, or that you're just going to hold heavy in your heart, and you constantly say, nobody knows, right? Like out there, right? Like think about those things right now. You tell yourself, nobody knows.
Yep.
Well, guess what? You're not nobody. You're not nobody.
Yeah.
And those things, right? That feeling of feeling like a nobody, right? And constantly telling yourself, well, nobody knows about, like, where's that disconnect in you?
Yeah.
Where's that thing where you just say, like, I can fully take off all these masks. I can fully take off all these layers and just be who I am, in all the shames, in all the mistakes that I've made of just life, right? And being a product of my environment, right? And not knowing better. And then even when I did know better, I still made mistakes, right? And giving myself grace and forgiveness for even still continuing to do it when I know better. And then just getting to that next level of being like, oh, I finally know better, so I'm finally going to make that change in myself.
Yeah, and you expose it. You expose it. And my first yoga teacher, she would always say, shame hates exposure.
Yeah.
And it can't survive in it. You know, so those things that are just like hidden in the cracks and crevices. And it's like, as soon as you speak upon it, whether it's like in a journal or just saying it out loud, it dismantles it.
It dies.
Like it's not going to be able to survive in truth. It's not going to be able to survive in truth. And most of the time when you let something out like that, especially when someone is there to witness you in it, there's like a Me Too aspect. It's like we are all, again, having this human experience. Like your shame is probably very similar to mine,
Yes.
you know, and it's all the same.
And you're dying alone in your shame for no reason because we've all got it.
Yeah.
We've all done it.
Yeah. And then it isolates yourself because you think that, well, no one understands, you know, they won't understand.
Right.
And then it puts you in this place.
I judge myself for it, so they're definitely going to judge me for it. Right? And when we find these safe communities and these spaces where there is none of that, right?
Yeah.
I share all my pain so openly.
Yeah.
And when I share that stuff, especially in like the treatment centers, when I'm like, yeah, like I was molested, like, you know, I grew up in these things and like as a child, like so many people like die in that shame because it's been happening from time and time. Like the more you talk about it, the more like, yeah, like that happened to me and like that happened to me. And you're just like, yes, that is it. That's the connection. That's that operating out of love. That's I deeply love myself so much that there is no shame. There is no story that I'm going to tell myself in my mind that I'm not good enough to be a part of the collective love.
Yeah, and then it brings you into that state of authenticity, which is a state of magnetism.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, as long as you are authentic with yourself and with others, which is not easy, you know? It's like,
Because there are going to be people that are judge you. There are going to be people that are going to be like,
yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, and you have to just like not give a shit.
I give a fuck.
Not
There's-
give a fuck.
And the magnetism thing, like, we're going to be wrapping it up here soon. And I like what's happening in like finding divine relationships, right? Some people fall off, things happen, and like, you never know what that connection can be, right? And currently right now, the studio is expanding. So in January, I was like, well, I'll rewind. 2 years ago when I left my husband, I filed for divorce on November 4th, 2 years ago. I had nothing. I like walked away with nothing, and I like my business didn't make money. It was like a hobby. I was like all of this, and I walked in and met my landlord on like 2 weeks after, and I was like, my only fear is that I'm going to outgrow this place. That was my attitude. I wasn't even making money. And I literally looked at him and I was like, my only fear is that I'm going to outgrow this place. And he was like, okay. So he took me to his office and he was like, well, if you outgrow this place, like this is yours.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. So I signed the lease knowing that that was going to be mine. Still struggling. Like the only reason why Sacred Moon stays open is because of the treatment work that I do. And like I'm able to kind of like cycle that payments into keeping the doors open.
Right.
And then in January, I was like, by November, I'm going to be, I called him. I'm like, by November, I'm going to be in that bigger space. I'm going to have the space. I'm going to rent out and I'm going to do it. And then October came and Aspen had to get a surgery. So I was just like, you know what? I called him. I'm like, I think we're just going to like wait till spring. This woman comes into the women's circle that night. Just by chance, we're making essential oil roller balls. We had actually met at Ninja. Like, this is like divine, like
Right.
magnetism, right? Like somehow this all happened, right? And she was like, Renal, like I'm doing this and I want to go out on my own and I make all these oils and I'm about to start my website and I really want to do a store. Instantly that like full body, I'm like, oh my God, I have a space. Like, let's go see it. And she came in, we saw the space, same thing, full body, like goosebumps. We signed the lease. Do you want to know when we signed the lease for the new building?
November 4th.
November. Fuck. I didn't even realize until 2 weeks after
love it.
that on November 4th, I signed the lease for the new space. And like today is our first event at the new space.
Yeah.
Like with you, I mean, we had the Friday dance, but like our first Yoga Nidra sound bath on a full moon. And we're still
This
like
moon,
working.
by the way, oh my God.
It's the last one of the year. It's got to go out with a bang.
Yes.
That bitch has got to go out with a bang. You know, it's like, so magnetism, right?
Yes.
Like if you believe it, like I know, and it's like so hard because you see all those people on TV and they're always talking about it and they're always talking about manifestation. And it's like hard to attain. You like, really? I'm living proof of it. Like I literally, like I still like don't really make a ton of money, but I don't need money
Because you have to get yourself to a point where you are able to receive these things.
You have to believe.
Yeah.
that it's possible
Yeah.
for you to receive abundance. And my life is full of abundance of love.
Yes. And I think like when you look around and you see the people in your life and what's happening, and you're just like, I must have done something right. You know, like
Somewhere
100%
down the road.
that is where I'm at right now. And it's like, yeah. You look around and you're like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been good. This is good. This feels good.
Yes.
Even when I'm like crying in fetal position because a lot of shit doesn't make sense, I'm still like, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you just have to.
Yeah. You're
Because
holding
if-
the anchor for the freaking storm.
Yeah.
It's going to come, you know?
The storm's
But it'll
coming.
pass.
It's coming. And it's really hard to see it when you're in the storm.
Yeah.
But when you get out of the storm, you're like, I'm a fucking badass.
Yes.
And ain't no storm taking this one out.
Yeah. And like, I think if you look at like track records, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you have been able to accomplish or get over any sort of like hump that you've ever been through in your life, like it's just going to keep happening that way. You know, like you've proven yourself this many times, like there's no need to worry anymore. My mom always says, she's like, every time I've ever stressed in my life, it was for nothing,
Nothing.
you know? Yeah.
You have 100% success rate. If you're living and breathing, you have 100% success rate of every adversity you've ever faced.
Yeah, and have fun doing it. I feel like people get too serious all the time.
Yeah.
Like recently I've just been embodying the fact that I'm fucking weird and a goofball. And like if like I just need to embody that. Like it's not so serious. Like we can have fun doing all of this stuff despite all of the bullshit that can come upon it. It's like you just got to have fun doing it.
I always end if you say that there's one like last piece of advice that you'd like to share for everyone, like a life lesson that you.
I think I just said it. Well, I'm going to bring my mom into that. Like anything that you are ever going to stress over in your life is going to be for nothing. Like you'll look back on it and be like, yeah, you're going to be in it when you're in it. But it's like, once you get through it, always think like hindsight. What's going to be the hindsight of this, you know? So try to always like, just kind of like look back for a minute, you know, and not for too long, but just like look back at like where you have come from and what you have done and what you have accomplished, and always bring that with you. Just keep going, not going back and like, you know, dealing with it, but bringing all of that with you towards you.
Witness it.
Towards the future path.
Witness your strength and your courage and your resilience, right? Not the suck.
Yeah.
Witness your resilience through it rather than like the shitty part of it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Definitely.
So thank you all for listening. This will actually be on the website. So I'm uploading them up on the website and obviously here on Facebook. Check out if you're interested in doing combo. Megan Comes Monthly. Check an eye on the website. That'll be on there. Always so grateful for the studio, this 603 Live, and Sammy. If you want to get your voice out there, he makes it incredibly easy for you. So I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. Maybe I'll see some of you tonight. There's a few spots left for the Yoga Nidra Sound Bath. Woohoo! 4:00. You can sign up on the website. Thank you.
Thank you.